By the later months of 1944, the Third Reich was fighting a war on two fronts, something they could not sustain. Hitler, now desperate, made perhaps one of his biggest gambles of the war. At 5:30 in the morning on the 16th of December, 1944, the Germans pounded the Allied lines with an enormous artillery barrage that lasted an hour and a half. With this attack, Operation Watch on the Rhine, more commonly known as the Battle of the Bulge, began. Ideally, Operation Watch on the Rhine would see the Germans split the American and British lines and would reach the critical port city of Antwerp in Belgium. If this was carried out, Hitler hoped to make peace with the Western Allies and focus all of Nazi Germany's resources and power on the Soviet Union in the East. This was daring, but Hitler had to do something major if he wanted to give the Nazis a chance to win the war. On the front lines, there was fierce fighting between the American and German forces. However, some of the German forces were more fierce than others. There were the regular German armed forces, the Wehrmacht, who were just fighting for their country. Then there was the feared Waffen-SS. This armed branch of the SS was ferocious, and they were not just fighting for their country, but fighting for Adolf Hitler himself and to protect and spread the Nazi cause. Perhaps the most feared division of the Waffen-SS was the 1st SS Panzer Division Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler, originally the Führer's bodyguard. The 1st SS Panzer Division would carry out many war crimes throughout the European theater, as they would kill thousands of innocent civilians and surrendered POWs. Perhaps the most infamous of these war crimes happened in Malmedy, Belgium. On the 17th of December, just a day after the Battle of the Bulge began, men of the 1st SS Panzer Division, commanded by SS Obersturmbannführer Joachim Peiper, ran into U.S. soldiers near the town of Malmedy. Peiper, just 29 years old, served as Heinrich Himmler's personal adjutant earlier in the war and was a decorated member of the Waffen-SS, having earned the prestigious Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross. Peiper had seen service on both the Eastern and Western fronts, as well as in Italy. In Malmedy, after a short battle, over 100 American soldiers surrendered to Peiper and his men. The U.S. soldiers were primarily from the 285th Field Artillery Observation Battalion. Despite not fighting on the front lines or really posing a threat to the Germans, who were on their way to the Meuse River, Peiper, after discussing with SS Sturmbannführer Werner Pötschke, decided to massacre the American POWs. Sometime after 2:15 p.m., the Americans were lined up in a field and shot by German machine gunners. If any survived, SS men walked by the American bodies and called to them or kicked them. If anyone reacted or moved, they were shot in the head. The massacre was now over, and Peiper and his men moved on. 84 surrendered American soldiers were now dead. News spread quickly of the massacre due to some lucky Americans surviving it. The survivors shared what happened, and the Americans were furious at the news and used it as inspiration to keep fighting and fighting hard. The 84 bodies in the Malmedy field were not recovered until a month after the massacre. After the war and Nazi Germany's collapse and defeat, Peiper and other SS men were put on trial on the site of Dachau concentration camp for their role in the Malmedy massacre. The trial was messed up, however, and Peiper got away with only a few years in prison. After this time, Peiper lived in France until the 14th of July, 1976, when his residence was burnt down in an attack and he was found dead. Thanks for watching.